Iron Swords versus Al-Aqsa flood and a new old hotspot on the map. The situation in the region has heated up to the max. Where did Hamas get their missiles and mines it fired at Israel? And what does this have to do with Ukraine? Let's consider all the political elements and put them in their proper places. This is Mendeleva's table. Hello. The world's attention is riveted to events in the Middle East. News about a new round of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict doesn't leave the front pages of the international media. For days, the parties have been exchanging missile attacks. But where did Hamas get those missiles? This was the question experts were asking the very next day after the escalation began. The US Congress allowed the possibility of the weapons having been supplied to Hamas from Ukraine. This version was put forward by House member Marjorie Taylor Greene.
We need to work with Israel to track the serial numbers of all weapons from the United States used by Hamas against Israel. Did it come from Afghanistan? Did it come from Ukraine? It's highly likely that it's both. The Israelis have felt the American support indeed. Hamas has published footage of attacks on Israeli helicopters from Soviet-made Strela 2 manpads. Western media speculate that Palestine received these man-portable air defense systems from Ukraine. Among other things, according to media reports, the detention of Palestinians near Ashkelon has taken on an interesting turn. It's alleged that IDF soldiers found RPG-7 rockets in the militants' pickup truck with the markings of a Ukrainian unit from Mukachevo. France also recognized the leak of American weapons from Ukraine to the Middle East. The leader of the Patriots Party, Florian Philippot, stressed that this leads to organized global chaos.
NEWS.BY confirms this information. The American weapons given to Ukraine are probably now in the Middle East and being used in bloody clashes. We warned you, and there's quite a lot of it. Organized global chaos.
The son of former US President Donald Trump also pointed out the striking similarity of the assault rifles held by the Palestinians to American M4s.
These look more like American M4s than the AK-47s we're used to seeing in the Middle East. Could they be from the stockpile of 70,000 assault rifles we left to the Taliban?
That Hamas could be using weapons Ukraine received from NATO and then sold to militants hasn't been ruled out by ex-CIA agent Larry Johnson.
If Hamas has the anti-tank guided missiles that we sent to Ukraine and it got to Hamas, Israel is going to be in trouble.
Israel's going to be in trouble.
It's noteworthy that the fact that the weapons the West supplied to Ukraine already appearing near Israel's borders was stated by the Israeli Prime Minister in an interview with the Jerusalem Post back in June. At the same time, Netanyahu emphasized that this wasn't a theoretical possibility at all.
This has in fact already happened with the Western anti-tank weapons that we are now detecting at Israel's borders. We have to be extremely careful.
The escalation of conflict in Israel is a disastrous scenario for President Biden ahead of the election. Here's what journalist Daniel Bush writes in an article for Newsweek. Hamas's devastating attack on Israel confronts the White House with the prospect of a potential regional war that would engulf the US presidential administration for weeks or months. It would represent the worst foreign policy crisis for Biden as he begins his campaign. The publication notes that the escalation came as a complete surprise to the White House and took everyone by surprise. Did they think about the security risks, including their own, when supplying weapons?